Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Power Driven Podcast. Today, we're talking about some power. This is fun stuff for us. We like talking about horsepower. We love talking about towing and all kinds of stuff to make a truck reliable, but really, I kind of like
it all boils down to horsepower.
Let's
be real.
So what we're really going to talk about is how to build a real 850 horsepower.
And make it somewhat reliable. Like you can make it and then you can make it reliable. How do you, we talk about tow trucks. We did an episode a while ago about how to make the perfect 500 horsepower, Cummins along the different generations that you would use. And today we're going to talk about the same thing, but 850 horsepower is kind of our goal. Like, okay, I want to make 850 horsepower. I still want to be able to tow with this truck. I still want to be able to, do all the things I need to do as a daily driver, but still rip the tires off at 80 miles an hour type stuff. Had a lot of fun. So
But it's not like a full-blown race truck or so radical. It's not a good daily. Like 850 is a great,
like a weekend warrior,
hot rod street truck, weekend warrior, daily driver, it all power level.
It's fast.
Oh yeah,
it's not slow.
It's a great time.
Yes.
Like someone has a new Corvette in your neighborhood and they think they're hot stuff. You pull out your 850 horsepower 4-wheel drive on the street.
And
you show them. You show them who's the boss.
Who's
so
fast.
my tangent. My dad has. I built a truck for him. It makes about 800 horse. He has a neighbor that has a Corvette, and he's been trying to get that race to happen for so long. I was like, dude. I was like. He's trying to do it in a way that's not super cocky, so the guy has no idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care what you do, you have to get a video because I would love to watch that go down.
Oh my gosh, that would be so
because it
fun.
would go well. I mean, on the streets of Pahrump, Nevada, absolutely. Four-wheel drive. I was like, you're familiar with four-wheel drive? He's like, oh yeah. I was like, I'm putting in 4. I was like, my old man, hell yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so 850 horsepower is amazing. And
we're talking wheel horsepower, not engine dyno power.
And really,
so that's 1,000 horsepower plus in any kind of production type vehicle. Yeah. So you see this Hellcat D-Min 1000 big deal. You're basically building the truck version of that.
With way more torque and
four-wheel drive.
But really, Papa Stump, your dad's tow truck, is really a great example of this. Like it tows amazingly well.
Oh yeah, it does great.
It makes amazing power. It beats up on sports cars.
Yeah.
Like if you get 850 horsepower, you can pretty much handle any sports car minus the top echelon of sports cars. And even on the street, good luck any sports car keeping up with you without some serious, from the factory. Now, no prep cars, of course, sure. But any factory car on the street, you have a hard time hanging with the 850 horsepower 4-wheel drive truck.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Tesla Plaid.
Thank you, Will.
And the junker drag truck
if you have
could
an
also
all-wheel
hang with
drive
it.
car, then yes, you probably can hang out with it. But if your Tesla's not all-wheel drive like the other ones, because don't they have some that are not all-wheel drive? I don't know about Teslas. But either way, Tesla Plaid, okay, you have an exception.
Mm-hmm.
Lucid Air, all-wheel drive. Electric could beat it.
Let's just rename the podcast. Rename the podcast. Vehicles that would beat an 800
a Jeep Trackhawk is all-wheel drive with a Hellcat, and they're like 11s, and you would still beat them with 850 horse. But depending on driver who launches good,
could be close.
It could be a very close race. So you still have to be a driver if you get an exotic.
Included a 8,000-pound trailer in tow. Both had to pull 8,000 pounds.
If you also had to pull a trailer, truck's winning every time.
Okay.
We will make this as much of a micro competition.
Yes, exactly.
What if you have to stop said trailer? Then the Tesla's probably going to win.
Yeah.
All that electric braking just. All right, we're off on a bad tangent here. Anyway, 850 horsepower truck. Your dad has this 95, 96. What year is it? 98, 12 valve, 3,500 dually.
Yep.
What does it take to make reliable 850 horsepower? We're starting with 12 valves because you brought it up.
Okay, if you want to start with the first gen, basically you have to put.
No, we're starting not with the first gen. We're starting with a second gen.
We can just go past the first gen. You put a second gen engine in it. Boom, there. Now
done.
Okay, now moving to second gen. Yeah, I mean his build is very basic. I mean it's got you don't really need main studs and rod bolts and all that stuff. We did it because it's just I wanted it was going to be a solid tow truck. I wanted him to
but you
not
don't
worry
technically need to get in the bottom end at 850 to the wheel. You're close, but you don't really need to.
If you're building the engine, I feel like you'd almost be dumb not to, just because you're there. It doesn't cost a whole lot. But if your engine is in the truck and you don't have the oil pan off, it'll probably be quite fine for quite a while at 800 horse.
So the bottom end's good. We get to the head gasket at 850. You cannot just put studs in there and pray. You need to pull the head off and do something.
Yep.
The one thing I like about Papa Stump is in the 12-valve world, a lot of people talk about these, marine style pistons or open bowl pistons, which we like. But you have standard pistons.
They're just the 215
just
pistons.
a 215 piston with that narrow barrel.
Yep.
And it works great.
But it's a 6-1 stroker. And so that's one reason it works really well. It just helps drive chargers. Just extra stroke, extra displacement really helps make it drive.
So in
really
case you guys don't know what that means, a 6-1 stroker means it's a 5.9 with a 6.7 crank.
Yep. Yeah, and we found that really, really helps just the drivability of a 12 valve. Like again, if you're building an engine and like if it's just a mild build, whatever, yeah, keep it 5.9, it's fine. But if you have the dollars to throw at it, a 6.7 crank really helps. It makes a 12 valve drive like it has common rail power. Like it just has the torque.
So if you have budget, it's worth it, but you don't have to. Like the Junker does have a factory crank. It's a 5.9 and it's making more than that power.
It has nothing to do with the power level, really. It's just a matter of how well do you want it to drive.
Yes.
But me personally, after driving both, if I was building something that I was going to drive on the street every day, I would do a 6.1 stroker every time. Like wouldn't even be a question.
Weird because it's not like you're increasing displacement all that much. 596 is not huge, like 200 cc's. That's a small motorcycle engine.
But part of it is you're getting some compression out of there, and that really helps.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking a factory 17.5-ish to 1 compression ratio engine, and you're getting it up, depending on your pistons, 19.5, 21, somewhere in that range. I mean, sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want, but like you're getting the compression ratio up a bunch, and that extra pressure in the cylinder really helps when that valve opens. That rush of pressure goes and hits the turbine wheel and it just gets that turbine wheel going that much better, and it really seems to help spool chargers.
And a lot of people think, oh, you don't want compression on a diesel, it already has too much. In every engine application, when they go higher performance, they generally increase the compression ratio. It makes the engine more efficient and more powerful as long as you can tolerate it with the fuel. And with a diesel, you can. And so I mean, that's why you like, a lot of people think, oh, you want to delip and drop the, no, you want compression. Okay. It's a misnomer in the diesel industry that you need less compression.
Yeah, I mean, I can see people's logic of, oh, less compression ratio is going to be easier on the engine. I would say, just to make a blank statement, below 2,000 horsepower, I have not seen a single lower compression engine perform better or last longer, and the high compression engines just run so much better, even all the way up to that 2,000 horse. Like I can say, like, oh, you're putting 150 pounds in it. Oh, I'm putting all this fuel in it. I would blank statement. If it's below 2,000 horsepower, I wouldn't be lowering the compression for anything.
What's the compression ratio in Josh's 4,000 horsepower engine?
It's stock.
It's factory compression.
It's a factory bolt. The way it's lower is that he has valve reliefs.
Valve reliefs. So even the most powerful engine that's ever been on a dyno anywhere ever is not a low compression engine.
Yeah. It's actually, so I don't know how they do the bowl. It's a 6.4, so I don't know if that changes. Like if it's the same bowl, I don't really know, but it's close to factory compression for sure.
It's basically 16.5 to 1.
Really?
Very, very close.
Okay.
Is what those pistons that's what they're advertised with the valve relief and everything.
Okay.
But still, that is factory compression ratio for like a VP 44, like a standard output. That's in the realm of factory compression ratio on all of the diesel engines. So it's not, and we're talking record setting. We're not talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're nervous about putting higher compression in your street truck, don't. Like, I would highly recommend it always.
I will do extra crap just to get more compression in it. Like I built the one true 5.9 engine I've built. I ended up decking the block like 40 thou and then deck the pistons 40 thou just to like get a half point more compression just to see how it would run. And I don't know if I'd do it again because you are getting rid of some strength, but that was going to be a 500 horse build. It was like, it's fine. And it did drive good. Like, did it drive better? I don't know, but it made me feel good.
I tell you, years ago, I did a 20th over head gasket. A little bit thicker. Like you deck your block and you're supposed to put a thicker head gasket in. And I was like, oh, you can drop compression and make more power. I'm like, oh, I want to put this in mine. It'd be great. I put it in there. It just sucked. I mean, max power, probably no difference. But drivability, spooling charges, everything is like, dude, I hate this 20 over gasket. I took it out. I took it apart. I did not stay. I'm like, I don't care. I'm taking this out. It's so bad.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of 20 over head gaskets.
So we're a little off topic, but
yeah, sure are.
but what we're really trying to say is that you don't need to go on the bottom end at 850 horsepower. But if you do, and you're going to do it, add some compression because it'll make it even better at that 850 horsepower level or any power level, really.
Yeah. And more than you would think. That's all I can say. Like you would think the displacement's not a lot, but we had a good friend, we've said this before, John Schrader, had like a really massive bore engine, like 250 bore with a 5.9 crank. He's like, it just runs like a 5.9. He says, the second I put a 6.7 crank in there, changed it completely. So and he got way more cubic inches from the bore, but the stroke was what made the difference. And I don't know why or whatever, but we have seen the same thing over and over again. So anyway, tangent over, back to 850, bottom end.
So bottom end, great. Head gasket, you need to address that. I mean, it depends what your turbo setup is. You might be able to get away with O-rings with a good stud, but really, if you plan on living at 850 horsepower for a while, a firing head gasket is just the kind of the way to go. Like they are tried and true. They're great to even 1,000 plus, especially if you get a good.
And we're
stud in
talking
there.
just 12 valves, VPs. Yep. We're not talking about comm rails because you can get away with the good studs and the factory MLS gasket at that power level, but
yeah.
But anyway, so back to
and then
so
from
firing head.
Firing head. I mean,
is
the
it
head's
ported?
off anyway.
You're going to get a lot of comments about from this. Like, dude, I've run O-rings at 1,000 horsepower for years, and so I would say this is like best case scenario. But there have been many people who have run O-rings at this power level very successfully for a long time. I mean, the Junker for years was at that power level, even with just O-rings, right?
Yeah. And it held for a while, but I had to be conservative with the timing. Yes. I couldn't go, but on a street truck, you're going to be conservative anyway. Right. But so you have to be a little conservative with the timing. You got to be a little careful about massive torque at low RPM. That's where you really blow head gaskets.
Mm-hmm. So if you're smart, you can very easily get away with O-rings. But if you want the best, like to reliably do it, firings are superior by far.
Yeah. And then, I mean, your head's off anyway. You're getting a firing head, like ported. Definitely not a bad idea. You don't need a ported head in order to make the power. It's just one of those things, just like compression. It makes it make the power better. Yes. It's your boost goes down, which when you start talking, 80 and plus pounds of boost, trying to keep boots alive, like isn't really the problem. It's been a long time since I've blown a boot. But you get the boots slide off. Like there's, I mean, you start looking at thousands of pounds of pressure trying to separate your pipe. I mean, you start pushing the intercooler through the grill into the bumper. Like keeping boost down does really help keep the whole truck reliable. So a ported head, if it was me, I would be doing something. Some kind of a head, just that really helps.
And even just the fact that, especially on the exhaust side, how much better it drives the Chargers.
Oh yeah.
Again, like that's almost like I'm not saying it's as good, but like your stroker, like you will get so much better drivability if you get that exhaust out and into the turbos more efficiently.
So you think we've kind of come to consensus. If you're at that 850, you probably should strongly consider, because you need to address head sealing anyway, you should get this head O-ringed. And while you're there, if you have the budget, it's probably a smart move at that point to get a ported, even a mildly like a toe ported head or something. Any little bit will help drop the boost, pick up the drivability. A lot of guys don't understand, before the turbo spools, you have naturally aspirated power. That naturally aspirated power is what is spooling the turbo. So if you can pick up 5, 10, 20% naturally aspirated, it's going to spool the turbo 5, 10, 20% faster. And so that's why when you get in these bigger aftermarket turbos, the truck is going to be a little bit lazier. It's not magic. There's no voodoo that you can put a monster turbo on there and it spools faster than stock. And so if you get a little bit of a ported head in there, really, really helps. But you don't need it at 850. You can get by with the stock head as long as you can, get it O-ringed or fire ringed.
Yeah. I just think if you're going to all that effort to pull a head off and get a firing, I think personally you're crazy not to do a ported head on 12 valve.
I mean, I guess if you're trying to do 850 horse and you're like, you don't have, like if it was me and I didn't have the budget for it, I would be doing grinding or something. Like I just putting a bone stock head on a truck at that power level. It just sounds, it works, but it's dumb. Just like a little bit of something goes a long way.
Yeah.
But yeah, then, I mean, you need again, cam. A lot of people, I mean, there's a couple of trains of thought, like in the gas world, like, oh, you got to do a cam. That's like the basics. You got to do a cam for 850 horse. A lot of people have made a lot of power with a stock cam. I think cams really do help with drivability. Don't go crazy with a cam. Like, be realistic with your goals and just put a mild cam in there, like a Colt Stage 3 or something similar to that will really help drivability. It seems like whenever I drive a truck that has a cam in it,
even if it has a stock head,
even it just everything
feels better.
Like, Vin D is a great example of this.
Vin D has it. We have my dad's truck has it. Vin D has it. And there was another customer's truck. I even asked him, I was like, do you have a cam in this? Because it had like one of our recipes on it with like a 6064 and stuff. And I drove it. I was like, man, if this is just this turbo, that's cool. But like the only other truck that drives like this is Vin D that I know of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's crazy. I guess I was like, in my brain, I thought the cam was possibly Vin D's secret. And I was like, man, this truck, it looks like it's never been opened up. Like it must maybe it's just turbo, whatever. And so I asked him, he's like, no, it's got the, Colt Stage 3 in it. I was like, haha, I knew it.
Yes.
It drives too good to not. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you asked me 5 years ago, I'd been like, no, stock cams were designed for 2000 RPM. Like it's the best cam for that.
I've been converted too. 5 years ago, I would tell people, don't waste your money on a cam.
Which is a lot of work.
Going crazy.
Would I just go about my weekend and pull everything apart to put a cam in it? Maybe, maybe not. But if it's apart in any way, I'd be darn tempted to.
Yeah, I would never put an engine together. Where I'm putting a camshaft. I will never put a stock cam in anything ever.
Yeah, after like all the
that.
crap. Yeah. Yeah. So again, it's like, it's crazy about Cummins is that like we're talking about all the things that you can do if you want, but you don't have to. I mean, so far we said you don't have to touch the bottom end. You do need to do a head gasket. Stock cam's great. You need valve springs. Push rods would be a very good idea. I would say those are basically a must, because you got to do that with the stronger valve springs and the higher RPM you're now spinning.
And a lot of people think valve springs are just for RPM. When you're cranking up the power there, you're going to double or triple the boost. I mean, if the factory boost is 20 pounds, if you're quadrupling the power, the boost is going to go up substantially. Those factory valve springs don't have enough seat pressure to keep them.
Yeah, I mean, you have
the valves closed properly.
You got boost on the underside of the top side of your valve. It's
trying to open
it, and
Drive
maybe
pressure
that's
as well.
not going to actually open it. But when the valve is trying to just do its job anyway, now it's got to overcome boost as well. Yeah, it's not helping.
Yeah, it makes it way harder for that intake valve to close against the high pressure on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, so there are definitely some things there. The engine wise, you probably addressed everything you'd need for 850.
Which I do think, I mean, this is like a commonly overlooked one. With the higher RPM you're going to be spinning, billet freeze plugs the whole way around.
yeah.
We've blown out enough freeze plugs.
Every one of my street trucks without them have blown freeze plugs eventually, even at 500 or 600 horsepower. So
you
850,
get like a grody enough engine it's been rusting in there for a while. You might have good luck, but like especially again if you're building the engine anyway, I would never put a stock freeze plug back in, just because that fresh freeze plug it's just not stuck in as well as a 20-year-old one. And if I was doing 850 horse, I'd be doing freeze plugs all the way around, especially at that power level. You're getting your transmission out to do something with it anyway for a clutch or a transmission build. That rear one, that's a great time to do it. Clean it up, do it nice instead of trying to like fish it up in there with the transmission in. So freeze plugs would be a good idea.
Do you need a coolant bypass? A lot of people put them in. It's kind of like cams. I can't say I'm sold that you need it or don't. I don't think it hurts anything to put it in there.
With cams, not currently.
Like I was with cams. Sorry.
I was like, dude, don't
I've
relate
never had a coolant bypass.
I've never had one either. I've seen a lot of trucks with them, but I'm
not saying they're wrong. I've just never. With my billet freeze plugs, I don't know why I would need one in what I.
I mean, the logic is that you get cold coolant to the back of the block, and that lets it circulate. And I think I want to test it. Like I had cooling system problems, and I almost pulled the trigger on one, and come to find out my thermostat was bad. And now that I fixed that, like I don't really have cooling system problems. But like I'm sure at some point I'll build a tow truck or something that has it's on the edge of its cooling system, doing what I need it to do, and I want to try one just to see if that really helps, because I don't think I would do it for the reliability thing. It's like the factory head gaskets orifice down in the front to promote that coolant going through the back of the head and coming back. So
yes, the back of the block, the water jackets are wide open in the head gasket, and at the front they have like 1/8 pinholes in them. And so it's like the factory's already designed it to promote flow to the back, but maybe they didn't go far enough. I don't know. I'm not an authority on that.
I'm not against it. I don't know if I would.
My hunch is that they don't help. If you want to know my hunch, my true feeling, but I can't definitively say that they don't help because I don't have the data.
One thing we forgot to mention, we were talking about airflow and turbos and stuff. Like the big thing you're going to want to get is an intake horn.
Dude, I was gonna leave the best for last. Okay?
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I don't want to,
because the flow, they flow more.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want to clutter up the important things with like valve springs and push rods.
No. We gotta get air horn.
We just did a live. We did a live the other day, and somebody saw the stock air horn on the junker, and he said something like "stock race truck horn mafia" or something like that.
Yeah, he had a pretty good thing.
He had a pretty good little saying for it. I was just like, "Rise up."
Josh definitely started Josh McCormick definitely started a mafia there, and he went to an aftermarket one finally. Just the factory ones, I don't think there's much of a performance limit on them. They're thin and they'll crack when you start throwing a bunch at them. So It happens.
So far, you've made what 1,800 through a stock one.
Yeah, I went to an aftermarket one when my factory one cracked.
Yeah, so
it just started to crack the flange off. So
eventually they can crack. So more of a structural thing than a flow thing.
Yep.
All right.
And I actually data logged the pressure differential between the before and the after, like shelf, like plenum runner at number 1, so like kind of the worst spot to check, and the tube going in it. And the most I could ever see was 0.8 psi. And then I put a no, I didn't do that test, but so most as I saw is 0.8 psi at 100 and some pounds of boost. So maybe if an aftermarket intake horn fixed all 0.8 psi, it could be worth something, but
You
I doubt it.
0.8 psi more in that plenum. Best case scenario.
Best case scenario.
Because that's how much less it was.
That's less than 1%. I mean, 8.8 psi on 107 or something pounds of boost. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, intake horn, big deal for sure.
Yeah, make sure you get one of those.
That's another thing that we're talking about, things to do. You're running enough boost now with 850 horse is the intake plenum gasket. Factory one is a just a paper gasket, and it's not glued in or anything. Just go to like the 3rd gen style gasket, and that's a metal style. I glue RTV both sides of it so you don't have any leaks, and that way it doesn't blow out. Because that factory one will blow out if not soon, like if not now, eventually. And that's, no fun.
It's funny, a factory 12 valve's 22 pounds of boost roughly, where the wastegate's cracking pretty good. And then a 06, they can peak up at 30 when they're in the thing. But just the difference between 22 and 30, the factory's like, I know, we need a steel shim gasket in here. So apparently the factory identified that as a weak link, I think, because I don't know why they would get rid of. There's other paper gaskets on that model of engine. So why did they get rid of it? And that's, I think they knew something.
Yeah. And then, I feel like that's basically, I would say most of it for a
transmission wise.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say most of it for like the engine
and
itself.
Then we got to talk about the fuel and the air.
Yeah,
but transmission wise.
Yeah. If you're a manual trans, just kind of like pray and act as if,
Yep.
Put a good clutch in there. At that point, you need like a dual disc of some form, triple disc.
Upgraded input shaft.
Yep. The whole kind of just like everything you can throw at a manual trans. Or you can do an auto in there and have some have some real party here. Yeah. For auto.
What don't we sell an 850?
Yeah. So that's where you get like pretty much all the good parts. So that you get billet input, billet intermediate, billet output.
So the billet intermediate comes with 1,000 horse.
Oh, my bad. So that's
for 850, you're just getting billet.
And that's what that rarely breaks anyway.
Yeah.
On the 2-wheel drives, we do the billet intermediate, but
just because,
Billet outputs for 2-wheel drives are kind of titanium. But
I thought you got all 3. But yeah, so billet input, billet output. So you can launch pretty good.
You got the good converter, flex plate,
triple disc,
all the beef clutch,
plate,
same big clutch pack we put in a big race trans.
Yep.
Good servos.
But the valve body is still set up for street use.
Yep.
It's not a racing.
Where do those
body.
peak 175 or even 190s on those? 185,
190, kind of in that range. Yep. And so for fairly simple, straightforward on the trans. Like, if you want the parts list on our Power Driven's website, 850 horsepower kit shows you all the stuff you need for an 850 trans to be able to hold the power. And you can be pretty reliable.
You can hold the power short term with way less.
Yeah.
I have a 650 trans in the junker technically, and it's holding, arguably 1,000 horsepower, but long term, what does that get? 5 runs in the drag strip and 20 down pulls. That's not pulling the trailer every day or a 19-year-old abusing it every morning on his way to school.
To be fair, I feel like that trans has been down the drag strip like 20, 30 times minimum. And it has like 200 and some dyno pulls. So don't undersell it. Okay. I built that unit. It's
amazing.
After hours, it was real nice.
You even drag race it with the 650 valve body at one point. Did we upgrade
Yeah,
it?
we did. We finally did up the valve body because it was shifting so slow.
Yeah, it was not a racing shift. But it's a 650 build.
Like when you're drag racing and you shift, you're like, come on, and then it goes. Where before it's just like you don't even have your hand pressure off the shifter, and it's slamming you in the next seat with a race valve body. You're like, man, there's something wrong here. But
really, Will was like, he was running like in 670s, and he's like, I need something. He's like, give me some firmer shifts. I know that'll make it go faster. But anyway, so like transmission, that's the parts list there. Fuel side, 850 horse.
Need a lift pump of some sort. On a common rail.
We're still 12 valve here.
Yeah.
Okay. 12 valve.
But those new air dogs will do it. If you want to do electric
Yep.
pump.
For like a 12 valve, I mean, we got the Predator pump, the Air Dog, like a 5G boost reference. That's freaking awesome. I think that's
PDD
really cool.
hot rod lift pump, you're kind of tapping out in that mid 700 range.
That's my dad's limit. Is he is draining the pressure from his hot rod lift.
Oh, and he's
and he's
right
like
there.
right there, like 800 ish.
So if you want a solid 850, the hot rod lift pump is not the right answer for you. As much as I hate to say that, affordable factory base option is limited.
That's like sad to be like a lift pump is though it's holding my dad up, but that's it. Like I kind of wanted. I was like, you gotta draw a line somewhere, and I felt like a good freaking reliable lift pump I never have to worry about. That's a good place to draw the line.
Yeah, that's true.
And he doesn't need more.
He's
not like us. He doesn't just keep having
that power level. He is.
So the Air Dog 5G will work. The Predator definitely works. That's what the Junker has on it. I'm sure Fast is something that works. Similar that works. I don't know.
Whatever you set up, do a boost, like boost regulated. Having any kind of lift pump making 60 some pounds of pressure all the time, it just wears them out. And so it heats up your fuel.
And so at 850, you're high enough where the pressure matters. So what we do is we put a regulator on the return side coming out of the pump, and it's got a boost reference. And so it can putt along at 30 PSI as we have set, 30, 35,
30, kind of just
base. And so it has good flow, good cooling. And then when it comes up on boost, when you're really hot rodding it, that boost reference goes in the regulator and ramps the lift pump pressure up to the 55, 60 that you want it. And then you have plenty of fuel with the electric pump.
Yep. And that way, I mean, regardless of what the pump is, you're not asking it to make all that all the time.
Yeah.
Because in the past, I personally was very negative on electric lift pumps because on 12 valves that they were usually set around 50 or 55 PSI. They'd only last a year, 2 years tops, and they were burned up and gone. And I'm like, why do they last so long on a common rail, 100,000 plus miles? Well, they were making 7, 10, 12 PSI.
Yeah.
And they last forever. And so what they figured out with this return regulated, this adjustable boost reference regulator on the return side really helps the 12 valve setup. And I don't know if Fast has one of those yet, but either way, you can set that up yourself with a regulator. It's not hard to do.
Totally can.
But the Air Dog kit does come set up with that.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. That works really well. For the injection pump side, 850 horse.
You're kind of into the 215 territory, like to get like a 160 cam or plunge. I mean, the 180 plungers probably could do it.
You could do it with a turbo system that's way more capable, where you're making 3.5 horsepower per cc or something.
Lean.
But realistically, 500 cc's is really all you have, and so, but it's hard fuel only to make 2 horsepower per cc, and so you're.
So going to a 215 style pump with a good cam, the good plungers.
It's like, I mean, I think like you're saying, if you were set out to try to, with that challenge of I want to build a truck that'll make 850 horsepower on 180, yeah, absolutely, it's not hard. But if you took that whole setup that you just did that with and you just put a 215 pump on it, you'd probably have a 1,000 horse truck because you just have the fuel to be able to just drive that setup. And that's what's awesome is not only does a 215 gives you the fuel quantity you need, but also gives you a level of dynamic timing. And so your street manners are just so much better.
Because you don't need to run 30 degrees of base timing to make good power.
Yeah,
you can run 22 degrees and your 215 most likely
will run just as good at 20 degrees. Your 215 at 20 degrees of timing will run just as good as a 180 pump at 26 degrees, because when you give it full throttle, that's what the 215 is doing. And so, and then the other level of you have that much more fuel to be able to play with now too. Instead of your 460-ish cc's out of a 180, depending on the setup, you can now have 600, 700 cc's. And that obviously having that fuel ability really helps you make power.
Yeah.
So that's like, so that'd be one of like our power driven stage 3 pumps is that's the 215 style plungers with the good fast fill cam, and that'd be a great pump for that power level.
Yeah, I mean you're that pump, if we calibrate it in such a way, those components
will make 1480. What is your fuel only? Actually 1502.
I guess on that other dyno 1502 is my record. On our dyno, I think the record's 1460 something. Okay.
But
1459, 1460.
You wouldn't be so aggressive with your design. Your DV selection would probably be down a little bit. So it wouldn't be like this. It'd be much more street friendly, less hazy and smoky.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad's truck 055s.
Yeah. That's such a great combination. 055s, the heat control. And I have driven his dad's truck and the heat control is so ridiculously good. It's awesome.
So stage 3 pump, your timing's going to be, like we said right there, 20, 22 degrees base would be just fine. You probably don't quite need that. Depends on your turbo setup. You know, if you have bigger turbos, you won't need as much timing because you have more air. If you're kind of small in the turbos, you're going to have to get a little more aggressive with your timing to hit that actual power goal.
Yeah.
Talking like dyno proven rear wheel 850. You know, we're talking low 11-second quarter mile straight truck here.
What about injection lines? You need to upgrade your injection lines for 850 horsepower?
If you like bling, absolutely. You need some stainless lines because they polish up better than factory ones. But no, factory lines, totally sufficient for 215 pump in any application.
Like, again, you're at that 1400 level factory lines.
I'm running 093 lines.
You got bigger lines?
I think when I measured it last time, it was less than 20 horsepower gain between the two. So it's very
minimal.
It's like, yeah.
It's just, you run them because
like when I go to the racetrack, the spare lines I bring are stock lines. So it's not enough that I think it's even going to mess up my 590 index truck. It's just minimal. But I think there's a little gain there. The 093, not the 120 lines. There's definitely a power loss.
Yeah, for sure. Stock lines work great. Injectors.
Power jets.
Power jets, stage 2 or 3, your choice.
Yep.
You're running stage 3 size and
what's a Papa Stump? Stage 3?
Stage 3. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy. I mean, great too. Like normally I would recommend a small injector just because a small injector is going to automize better. It's going to drive better. It's going to be cleaner. The stage 3s, they flow a good amount, but the hole sizes are still small enough. I wouldn't be afraid to like put like my stage 3, my dad's truck, I built it for 500 horse.
Yeah.
Like that was the original goal. And I was like, oh, I'll just put some stage 3s in there, see what happens. It works great. I'm like, there was like no ill side effects. Maybe if I put smaller, I'd been felt like it would have drove cleaner or something. But
and a lot of people don't know when we developed those power jets, that wasn't like the first size. Like we basically made, 3, 4, 5 different sizes, a little bit bigger on each one and kind of put them on the dyno. And it got to the point where it's just like, wow, these two flow, let's say 10% different, but it only picked up 5 horsepower. And this one was way cleaner. This is the winner. We don't need an extra 10 horsepower on the stage 3 or 5 horsepower. When you're making 1,000 horsepower, we need. And so that's why they're so freaking
smoke
clean.
Control and heat control for a given power level.
Yeah, EGT and smoke were the 2 criteria basically, and we had to hit a minimum power goal. But basically, when you make about 5 different versions of something, you can pretty quickly hone in on, hey, at this power level, this is exactly the injector you need. And
so yeah, power jets are definitely a big deal.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I mean, 850 horse. I mean, if this is like a stupid budget, just race truck only, then maybe if I was like trying to be on an extreme budget, maybe I would do something else. But if this is something I plan on driving in the street at all, I hate hazing.
Yeah.
I hate smoking people out.
And you will make more power with the power jet, we've proven. So, but you can make 850 with a regular conventional nozzle, no problem.
You don't have to,
Or 5x14, our budget builder, whatever, or power driven ones.
The power driven line.
The power driven line, those are just fine at the power level, and they'll work. You probably might need a little bigger DV with that. Just depends on.
Yeah.
But if you're getting a built pump, it's going to have the fuel. So
let's go to the turbo side. Like the truck that kind of like, for me, like is the best truck we've ever done besides Papa Stump would be Mike's truck from Phoenix. That white dually, and that thing was dang near 4 digits. That was like mid 900s. That was still a 5.9. It wasn't a 6.7 stroker, and we did have a head on it. He actually wanted to do a test before and after, and we
so we reported stage 2. One of our hot street heads on there
before and after. I think he put like 80 horsepower or something. But his turbos were really good because they were very street friendly. He had the 362. The small turbine version, the 68 millimeter. This was not like our aggressor. This is like a Borg 362 with a 476. Very simple turbo setup.
So it's a Borg over a Borg, simple, old school.
This is before we had a lot of our stuff now. I think now if I was trying to do that, I wouldn't use the 362 for that power level. I'd probably be more like the Aggressor 9, the 67 or the 6267 or the 6767, probably the 6267. And I'd probably pair that with a 476. Maybe a 480, but I think a 476. I mean, he did it with the 476. Why would I go lazier? Like it works so good. It works so good. I mean, and that would be a good option. And a 12 valve, a 6064 476 would also be a very good option.
Yeah, I mean for 850 horse, yeah, I mean it depends what you're trying to do. I mean if you go smaller, like your atmosphere charger, like when you're towing, your atmosphere charger matters.
Just so everybody knows, right now, we didn't even bother talking single turbos because good luck. It's gonna be.
I mean, you can do it,
suck on the
but
street.
it's terrible on the street.
Yeah, so just compounds. If you want a street and compounds, remember this premise of this was a streetable truck you can tow with trailer with, and so yeah, we're gonna go compounds.
And even like, I mean, you can do stuff with a single turbo on a 12 valve, but
Sure.
12 valves require so much boost to make power. Single turbos, like when you start getting big, they're not great.
Yeah.
You have to like work around the limitations of your charger. Putting compounds on it just broadens your RPM band, makes the truck very much more forgiving for what you're trying to do. Just it works. And so, yeah.
To the point where people would say you should build a 600 horsepower with a single turbo and spray nitrous to get that extra 250 horse.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a single turbo, that would honestly, in my opinion, be better than running a 476 single on there. I think you'd be happier with a smaller turbo that can only make 600 and actually having nitrous on board that you have to maintain and all that crap. I think that'd be better than a big single on.
Yeah.
Now, you get way into the motor and build and cubes and port everything to the 10th degree and all that. Then you have an engine that can make power at 5,000. Then all of a sudden some of those big turbos make more sense. But for the average street truck, you don't want power at 5,000. You want power at 1,500 to 3,000 where you're spending 99% of your time.
Right. On Papa Stump, you originally had a 476 and that was paired with a 62, 67?
Yep. It was a 6067.
A 6067.
6067.
So that's an HE351 base turbo.
Yep,
that was before we had our Aggressor 9s.
Yeah, if I did it again, I mean, the Aggressor 9 is, I mean, it's nice for a couple of reasons, but for compounds, that outlet makes it so much easier to fab because any kind of 351 compounds have this dumb forward-facing thing, and the pipe has to like sneak around your radiator. Doing a Super 9 or like an HX35 style front cover where it's got the V-band, you can just point that thing down and the compounds become way cleaner and it's easier to change your oil filter. Lots of upgrades. Definitely would do that way. But this is back before then. So it was a 351 base charger with a 476. And that was a good setup. I think that would run really good on a true 5.9 truck. But being he had a 6.1, a cam, a head, and all that stuff, it didn't carry the power as well out as it would have if it was a 5.9, because 5.9s, it's smaller cubes. You have less exhaust energy going through. It was like choking up a little bit at the higher RPMs. And so it naturally made it so if you're driving just based on the feel of the truck, you're short shifting the crap out of that thing. You're shifting before 3,000 and you're bringing it back into peak torque, lots of torque.
Yeah.
And I basically twisted my dad's arm and basically said, hey, I could make your truck more reliable and make more power. Like, what are your thoughts? And so we put a 480 on there and it towed.
How does that make it more reliable?
So first of all, it's blurry because it's able to carry the power out further. And so if you are driving or racing the truck just with your ears and not looking at the tach, you will naturally shift out later. So now instead of bringing the engine down to 2,000 RPM on every shift, because that's what just feels right. Now you're bringing it down to 2,500 or whatever it is on every shift. And that's just the whole engine is way happier making safer. That power there versus 2,000. I mean, you're talking about a couple 100 foot-pounds of torque difference.
Yeah.
And so that helped. Also, with his 6.1, it was driving the turbos really hard. And so towing, the EGT control was like ridiculously good. Yeah. I mean, 45 pounds of boost, 1,000 degree GTs, pulling grades. And like, I can say like you hear 45 pounds of boost. You're like, wow, that must be a lot of power. The thing is, it wasn't that much power. It was a good amount. I mean, I drove the charges cruise controlling 85 upgrades and it was great, but it was just making so much boost that EGTs were super low, but then that heat from the boost is going into your intercooler, which is in front of your radiator. And so he never actually got, like, I never had to let out because of radiator temps, but radiator temps would go up at 1,000 degrees EGTs. And I'm like, my limit on this whole towing setup is my radiator. So if I make the truck more reliable with a 480 on the atmosphere and do all this crap and drop boost down a little bit, well, in my towing situation, I bet that would make it be able to tow more before you had to let out for coolant temps. And it did. It made a big difference.
I helped the fuel economy a little bit, putting bigger turbos.
Never was able to actually test it, but I'm sure it did because generally
cruising with less boost
because
you have better fuel economy.
He'd make
if you're up there in the 40s anyway. If you're at 5 pounds of boost, sometimes less boost hurts. But if you're up there 20 plus, less cruising boost, generally no other changes, improves fuel economy because there's less pumping losses because there's not as much back pressure on the turbo system.
Yeah, and so he's a big fan of the change. He definitely noticed, and like if you were, I mean, it probably makes the same ish torque as it did before, but it carries it out so much better. Like it's way faster, like ripping around the street. It's a blast. And so for a 6-1 stroker, I would be very tempted to just go to a 480.
Yeah,
unless it was a dedicated, 500, 600 horsepower tow truck. Well, then, keep it a little smaller, open the housings up to keep it, keep it from driving too hard if it was a 6-1.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a really good option. I mean, that truck tow's so great. And we could talk about nitrous a little bit. I just feel like 850 horsepower.
Yeah.
On a street truck.
If we were talking about first gens, we would say you're going to need nitrous to get there to 850 to the wheel.
Yeah. Probably no matter what you do.
I mean, there might be some exotic race VE pump that's probably not that reliable that maybe somebody's gotten there without nitrous, but man,
and all engine parts we just talked about would transfer right over to that. I mean, everything
to that first gen.
Yeah.
Now, if you get into the VP44, so we're talking 98 to 2002, this same 850 horsepower, that's very big power number for fuel only for a VP44. And so I think your strategy is going to have to change in that situation. Assuming you don't want to do a P pump 24 valve and swap to a P pump where you get the fuel quantity, now you need to get kind of what we've learned a little bit with nitrous and some of this. You can get a lot more horsepower per cc of fuel if you go way lean.
And so you're going to oxidizer to
it. And so you're going to need more airflow than 850 horsepower would require with a heavily fueled 12 valve to get a VP44. So same thing, bottom end is fine. The head, you're still going to have to address the head gasket. They have a composite head gasket, so you're still going to need an O-ring or fire rings.
They do flow better than a 12 valve. But again, if you're doing firings and stuff, I mean...
And if you're doing fuel only, you need every advantage you can get.
Like you maybe as necessary or more, even though that head flows more, since you don't have the fuel quantity, you need, like you say, all the air possible. So I think a ported head, which I would
say is required for fuel only 850 on a VP.
Yeah.
I think you need it.
Maybe if you good air quality or something. But yeah, I feel like if you're trying to get 850 in a VP, you're trying to do something that's pretty unique and pretty hard. So don't limit yourself with a stock head. Like put something on there that flows really good, because the more flow you put them in engine, the better you'll be.
Manifold's heavily important. That is the most restrictive factory manifold I've ever put on the flow bench, is a VP44 exhaust manifold. Worse than a 12 valve, as bad as they look.
Yeah.
Terrible manifold. So, I mean, they cap the flow like 120 CFM. So they really choke the exhaust side.
Yeah, your exhaust flows a lot more. That stock head flows a lot more than the stock manifold.
Yeah, tremendously outflows it.
Yeah.
And the opposite, like a 6-liter Power Stroke, the exhaust manifold tremendously outflows the stock head.
That's weird.
The VP, the exhaust, the head tremendously outflows the manifold.
Yeah.
But Cummins and IH are
different
Ford for you.
So yeah, so manifold. So ported head still a great idea. Obviously push rods, valve springs, all that stuff, cam, all good options. Like probably more needed for fuel only on a VP, because you really can't skimp anywhere if you want this fuel only.
So then my other thing on VPs, it seems like they don't generally, for whatever reason, it's hard to get big fuel quantity much above 3,000 RPM, 3,500 in some cases. And so you need a turbo system that is ready to do everything at that RPM range.
So you might be better at that 476. I mean, the 480 will probably do it, but
I mean, yeah, your 480 is going pretty hard before 3,000, so I think it would still be a good option.
And I'm still like, I don't know if that's enough airflow to do that with the VP fueling. Just depends, because it's hard to get them past 7. I mean, I was thinking
you need
Aggressor
boost.
98.
No,
seriously.
Your problem is, can you drive it? You need boost.
Below 3,000?
I don't think
not below 3. You just need everything ready to go at 3, where it makes peak power 31, 32. And it's done. You're not making peak power 35. It's not going to have the fuel quantity to do that.
I feel like at 3,000 and below, like you'd want whatever turbos are going to give you the highest amount of boost. All of them will flow enough air to do it. So what's going to give you the highest pressure? Because that's what's going to get into your engine. So I'd kind of lean more towards like a 476, because I know that has enough air for 1,000 horsepower. It's been done. You did 1,000 horsepower as a single on your common rail.
But I'm thinking you
And
need 12
Hudson
or
did, like-
1,400 horsepower at the Air to get there with the VP. Because you got to realize,
I don't
Mike
know if you
Hudson,
can
these
drive-
guys, they're up there like 600 plus cc's of fuel. This VP, you're half that. You have like 330, maybe
I just
350
don't-
cc's
I
on a
guess
really good one.
My question is can you drive a big enough turbo to even get more air out of it?
We
With the
have
fuel.
a 98 Aggressor on 62, 67 HE351 over there in the junker. We're about to find out this week. By the time this airs, we'll have done it.
Yes,
we'll
we
have
will
done
know.
the testing.
We will know.
And see if that's the
Yeah,
winner.
So if you're on YouTube or whatever, comment and we will respond with what we found.
Yes.
What am I
yes.
going to do? Like, just we'll turn it down to 300 cc's and see what
no,
it does?
just like can it spool before 3,000? Like, I mean, obviously
I
the
think it
biggest
will.
turbo that you can do that will spool before 3,000 will make the best
Yeah.
number on a VP. Like that would make sense. But if you can't get it driven before then, I don't know.
I think it will work great.
Yeah, I mean, I've daily driven a 98 for years now, and it has no problem making big boost before 3,000. Like we
Well, you're-
tune
yeah,
it,
you're on a
we tune it
6.7.
out. I know, it's on a 6.7, so it's not the same, and it is interesting. I don't know.
But to me, your recipe for 1,200 in that tow setup was a 351 and a GT55.
Mhm.
And so I think a 351 base charger and
Willard?
and a
Yeah.
We
And a
will
GT55.
find-
We need to find out.
we need to know. We need to know.
What's the fuel only VP record? Let's figure this out.
Getting back to the fuel side, you're going to need injectors,
But yeah, on the fuel side, how much can a V? You said 300ish cc's out of
3
a
to
VP?
350 range. Yeah.
So you need to do better than 2-to-1, which is hard to do on fuel. Like, so that's why you're like really hitting. You need air, because you got to be way lean.
Yeah.
That burn
Because I think
nitrous, we could do it.
I think with nitrous, you could probably go to 1,000 on a
Yeah.
VP. You start spraying it leaner, but then you can get, 4.5 to 1
Yeah, these crazy
know,
ratios.
horsepower per cc of fuel type thing, where it's really hard to do that fuel only and generate that much energy. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could argue a water air intercooler would help
Yeah, it
a,
would.
a VP. It's an expensive route to go, but a really good water air intercooler would just give that next level of
Mhm.
compression. And then you could probably pick any turbo that can make 850 horsepower. It'd probably densify the air enough to get it in there
Yeah.
and make everything happy. But fuel side, you're going to need about a 7x10 injector. We've got some power jets we're working on. I can't really recommend one yet because we're not through with
Yeah,
testing.
so far, I've been very excited with what we've done. I do think that will be the play again. Some kind of version of a power jet. Willard's heat control's insane. Power's
Yeah.
great. Like, it's really, really wonderful.
You're going to need a Quadzilla. You're probably going to be playing with some custom tuning.
Mhm.
Edge Comp has the fuel capacity there. If the
Yeah.
tuning lines up great with your VP, it could be
It's a
just
great option.
perfect. But I like the custom tunability because you're trying to get every bit of fuel at the right time. And sometimes you have to get that number there.
Obviously-
Lift pumps the same. You're going to need
Air
faster
dog.
than air dog. Trans the
Trans
same.
the same. Yeah, it's still 4-speed, 47 RE. So all that same stuff applies.
So should we talk a little bit about common rails though? Because that's where a lot of people want to go. Or we
Yeah, we got a little bit of time.
we got all
Common
the
rails-
time in the world.
Common rail's easier, of course.
Yeah. So 12 valves. I mean, you basically got to do a build from the ground up. Common rail. I mean, it's still a lot. Yeah, you got to do. I mean,
Transmission, same.
and just start with transmission. It's the same story. Now you instead of having a NV 4500, 5600, you have the option of G56. It's the same story. Some of the parts of a G56 better, some of it's worse. You just dealing with the cards that are given, or you can auto swap it, and then it's basically the same as a 47, except you've got some pretty good planets and stuff in there.
Yeah.
And a couple extra clutches factory. Or a couple extra clutches factory. The line pressure is a little easier to make, whatever. But once you buy like an 850 trans, they'll all hold it. Going to the engine, it's basically the
The
same.
bottom end's going to be the same.
I'd say cam is more important.
I feel like you have the head. I mean, yes. So the cam is more important because at factory tries to like do the EGR,
EGR in the camshaft itself.
with the camshaft itself. And so, I mean, again, you don't
You
need
can
a
do it.
cam to do it.
You can do it
But
without a cam, but again,
But if there's ever a stock candidate for cam swap, it would be
the
a
worst,
common rail.
the worst manifolds on a VP44, the worst cams in a common rail 5.9.
Yep. And so that's not a bad idea. Factory came with 12 millimeter mains instead of like your 12 valves have 14 millimeter mains.
Mm-hmm.
But for 850 horse, again, if you're in there, do it anyway. But for a sealed end, bottom end, 850 horse is just fine.
Now top end side, this is where things change a little bit. MLS head gasket when you go 03 and newer, and 625, the expensive ARPs or the custom age from OptiTorque, those are also a great option. That is enough stud to go right about 1,000 horsepower is about where they start getting a little iffy. So at 850, you're solid.
Could leave the head on and just do one at a time. One stud, one bolt out, one stud in.
You could.
And then people are going to ask about valve springs. And it seems like those engines have a little more, you could say, overhead in the valve spring. But you can change those on the head. You can use a valve spring compressor tool on the engine. You have to pull the injector out because it kind of goes over all four at once. So, but you're going to be changing injectors anyway at that power level. So you could leave the engine sealed up, put head studs in one at a time, and you could change the valve springs over.
Do some push rods.
Push rods at the same time.
But I would argue the boost is low enough. It's probably not a good idea, but you could probably get by with factory valve springs at 850, but it would be something in the back of your mind being like, man, am I going to float valves today?
Yeah, and the 4.5K, the 4.5Ks are so like affordable.
Yeah, very affordable.
And they work so good. I got the 4.5Ks in my
I guess we're not talking about how cheap and what you could get away with that you shouldn't on this episode. We're talking about what you should do. You should put valve springs at that power level.
Yes.
And push rods.
And if you're talking about what we should do.
And you should do a cam because the factory cam is just poisoning everything with its EGR. It's messing, it's wearing out the cylinders with soot. It's terrible.
And we're talking about things you should do. Do you need a cylinder head for 850 horse? No, you can get away with it. But your factory seats, when you start putting more heat load through the engine,
you can drop a seat or blow a freeze plug under there and mix coolant.
Yep.
It's just kind of like you always blow out freeze plugs on the block of a 12 valve or anything and so we recommend billet freeze plugs. Well, it's no different on the head on a 24 valve. Those little freeze plugs pop out.
And they're right there in the oil, like right
in the valve cover.
Like you blow out freeze plug goes right in your oil pan.
Yep. And now you just slushed up your engine, probably wipe some bearings, and you don't know until you check your oil or you watch it overheat.
Yeah, just driving on the road, just have it leaking or seeping or whatever. It's
yeah, because it could just be seeped and doesn't necessarily just pop all at once either.
And so actually this brings up an interesting topic. We talk about blowing out, freeze plugs and stuff. I've always been curious what coolant pressure is, because we always talk about like blowing out freeze plugs or whatever else. On my race truck,
which is a 6.7 Cummins engine.
Cummins engine.
So a 24 valve engine.
Yep. It's got a 5.9 style water pump. Basically, cooling system's all factory. At 5,000 RPM, I was at 90 some pounds of coolant pressure. So if you're wondering why your freeze plugs pop out,
that's why.
Yeah, it's because your Harbor Freight air compressor blowing in your cooling system is about the same amount of force.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on that little plug. So 94, I think, is it?
That's at a pretty high RPM, which
it's 5,000, not even 6, just 5. So
still pretty high.
You're doing a burnout. Like, you get
true.
there.
Yeah, you can get there. It's true.
And it doesn't take long. You heat up whatever.
So that's why we offer we do a thread and freeze plugs and under the oil valve cover, like our stock. I don't think we even offer a head. Maybe we offer, if you want to buy a true stock head, we can, but our stock plus, we fixed that thing because it is such a problem. And you have valve seats. There's horror stories of drop. You had a drop valve seat. I had valve seats that were spun and about to drop. Like valve seats are a problem.
And then I've got a truck with 300,000, and I don't know if that's the second or third head it's on or if it's the factory one. And one of these days, hopefully before it drops, I'm going to put it in there because I'm nervous every time. And I'm at 500 horsepower. I'm not at 850.
Yeah.
So
valve seats are a problem. So there's a couple of ways the aftermarket has fixed that. There's oversized valve seats that have a higher press. So like they're stuck in, for lack of a better words, better. Or another thing we've been doing lately is to get rid of the valve seat completely and go back to the 24 valve VP technology, which is induction hardened seats. So there's nothing to drop. The drawback from that is sometimes those crack a little bit. Doesn't necessarily mean your truck goes down, but it's not serviceable like a head with seats is. So
but you could just cut seats in them if
you can.
Yeah, that's kind of a common thing, guys, to fix them.
To fix it, yeah, you can cut seats into them. But
even with cracks, they can cut through there. But at the end of the day,
then you're back with the head of seats that may or may not fall. The high press seats have been pretty good. I'm not saying it's not.
And just word for the wise, not all high press oversized seats are made equal.
No, they're not.
I've done a lot of testing for this for you guys. There's some brands you stay away from.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but yeah, We found the good ones.
Yes.
Stick with those.
Stick with those. Exactly. So yeah, so head seats is a real concern on common rails. So engine wise though, like, you know,
So it changes a little bit though if you want to get into the turbo system and the manifold. The factory manifold
is that weird design. It's no longer center dump. It's out the back and down low.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do like a second gen swap to get a better sound, better flow across cylinders. But you can do it with the factory style manifold. You do not have to change that. But
I'm waiting for Meyer to describe this turbocharger from it was given to us from Wholeset.
The Lord's turbo, the Lord's race turbo. Yeah, this is like blasphemy for a good Christian, but Lord's turbo.
The HE351.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of people think when you're doing compounds, you have to upgrade both turbos. And of all the factory turbos, like 12 valves, they're a little bit restricted in compounds, but that HE351, it'll handle quite a bit of big turbo underneath it.
And that's what's crazy is I don't fully understand it. An HX35, it's a good turbo if you're trying to do a 500, 600 horsepower compound kit. But something about the HX35, I don't know if the housing's small, the divided, whatever. I don't know if it's just the perfect storm of combination where it doesn't work great at higher power, but you get a 351 has a single, like an undivided housing. It's still tight, so it spools great, but that seems to really respond well to in a compound setup. Or like these, like the Aggressor 6265, like the S300 base housings, they also respond pretty decent in compounds. So like when we're talking about doing compound setups on 12 valves, we're talking about putting a 351 or a -9 on there because that factory 12 centimeter housing in whether it's a bone stock HX35 or one of our 6064s, it's good to 500-600 horse. You start trying to push it past that, they don't respond well. Well, now we're into a 3rd gen, which has a factory race turbo on it. So you can take a big old atmosphere charger, slap it next to it, and it's down to party.
It's down to party.
And so for 850, a 476 is enough. 480 would run equally great on there. The Aggressor 480.
459, 472, 476 is a great option. You have boost everywhere, tows great, makes great power. It's a great setup.
And this is what that's our 3rd gen towing compound setup. We have a stock turbo with a 476.
Would you go like 950, 980, 960?
960. Yes, I did 960 on that setup.
Now that's like ragged edge. It's not necessarily
60% overs. I wouldn't call it ragged edge.
Yeah, this was not crazy.
Like it was
my
surprising.
mind was ragged edge back then. I just like to believe it was ragged edge because it was almost what my race truck 12 valve made in horsepower, and that was his tow truck. I was like, that's got to be ragged edge.
It was not ragged edge. It's very. I think it worked really well. 60% overs. And that thing. We're talking a stock 351 with a 476, which you can share it with our kit. You can upgrade your 351. We have upgraded to bigger turbine wheels, better flowing wastegate ports. We port the wastegate port so it's bigger, but you don't have to have it. You can use the one that's on your truck. And so it's a very affordable way to get like some pretty big air because you don't have to buy 2 turbos, assuming your stock turbo is in good working order.
Yeah.
Now, back to fuel. You talked about 60% overs.
Yeah.
That's bigger than stock. Stock injectors are not getting you to 800 horsepower, 850.
No. And that is the common rails. One of the hard things is how expensive injectors are. If you come from the VP, 12 valve world, you're going to spend some dough on the fuel system in a common rail.
Yeah, you're spending the same for one injector as you will for the full set of 12 valve VP injectors. That's just
so it's kind of a buy once, cry once type deal.
No, nope. I would say the reliability of common injectors is not as reliable as a VP or 24 valve injector.
You're talking
about buy once, make sure your fuel is good.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then you're going to cry again and cry again.
Good filtration, good fuel.
You do need to be more careful.
Lubricity, additive, whatever. But really, I don't want to overhype what they are. Like, you've had terrible injector luck. I've never had an issue with an injector. Yeah. Except for the one time that my CP3 went out and that took out my set of injectors. Like that's happened. And whatever, there's metal in the system. Of course, it's going to hurt some injectors, but they're fine. Recommendation, there's lots of different thoughts. First of all, people ask like, oh, can you buy a set of 400s or 200% overs and turn them down to 800 horse? Some people say, no, you can't turn them down that far. Yes, you can. However, you shouldn't. Like you have to be real with what you're using the truck for. and buy an injector that matches what you're using the truck for.
Yes.
Because having a big old injector that's just hazy all the time and has terrible manners doesn't drive great. Like, don't do that. Matching your injector to what you plan on doing is just a big part of it.
So within reason, so what percent over would you say is a good match for an 850?
60%.
60. If you're trying to make 850 and that's it, like 60% is a great setup for that. If you want to have a little bit of room to grow, like 100 would be fine. That's it. Like you don't need 150 or 200.
Basically double the flow of stock injector.
And these are DDP numbers. I think they might make more power for the same injector size than others. So maybe if you're doing another brand, like
talk to your injector who you're talking to.
Yeah, talk to the company that makes the injector is a great company. Great person to talk to you about sizing because they have all that data. But yeah, don't go crazy with it. You don't want to go too small to where you're stretching the crap out of it for sure. But don't go too big to where you're dealing with all the side effects of having a big injector without any of the fun.
But at 850, you're not in the radical size of injector from any builder.
No,
they don't really have to modify the body or anything. You're kind of basically you're basically a factory injector with a little bit better nozzle, bigger flowing nozzle on it.
They're still doing some stuff, but you're not into like the crazy body mods and stuff because that's a big one of when you start doing like body mods to injector, getting that injector to open stupid fast, close stupid fast. On paper, it sounds awesome. When you're trying to tune that truck, it's terrible.
A great example is my truck and your truck.
Mm-hmm.
And these are both well past 850 horsepower, but they have the same nozzle, 200% nozzle, but they act very different.
Yep, mine are an old set of 260s, like an old set of 260s. So who knows what body mods they did? Well, I had them put 6-7 like narrow bowl nozzles on them, and I told them to put 200% nozzles on it. Didn't think much of it. Well, I go to start tuning them, and I'm like, these are tuning completely different than Todd's. They have the same exact nozzle. Why is mine tuning like so terribly hard? And I took a lot more revisions, and honestly, it doesn't drive as good. Like yours cold starts better. It has better, like it's way cleaner just all the time. The only place where my truck shines is power on the dyno. I can make more power with less US with the exact same everything else.
And in layman's speak, less US is less duration of injection.
On time and duration. Yes, sir. And so
that means you have more power potential.
I have more power potential.
But if you have the same nozzle, people can be like, how does yours make more power with less on time?
I mean, if you look at, it's basically how long it takes the injector to fully open and how long it takes the injector to fully close. So if you look at it like a graph, Todd's injector might take 400 microseconds to actually start flowing fully. Like if it's a ball valve, how fast are you opening that ball valve? Whereas my body mod injectors may take 50, 100 US to fully open. So that ball valve is opening quick, closing quick. Well, doing that is good at full power because it like lets you get the fuel in when you need it, which like on paper, if you're like mathing it out, like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course I want body mods. Well, when you're trying to daily drive this truck and the factory ECM's not really smart enough to control it how it needs to control, it's a daily.
It's trying to just pulse it on at idle when it's cold and it can't.
Yeah,
if it's banging and popping.
Yeah, basically, if you have more than one injection vent at idle in some situations, it will be bouncing. It'll be turning on and off the main pilot, the main shot, because your pilot is enough to keep the truck running. Like
you can't. Yeah,
I'm not trying to scare people away from it, but just be realistic with what you're wanting.
Which we say that over and over this podcast. Get the parts for the build. Don't like in your mind think, oh, I want some 250% overs and I'm happy with the 800 horsepower. It's like, it's stupid. Like you'd be way happier with parts, sized for what you're building. And we stress this over and over because we get so many calls of guys who put just crazy oversized parts on what they're trying to do. So the toe's bad and I got this 366 over 480, my 12 valve, and it just doesn't tow good. Like, yeah, I'm not surprised. So it's like there's just getting the right stuff really makes a big difference. It's huge.
So you've got to upgrade the injectors, but that's not the whole equation on a common rail.
You need a CP3.
There's a CP3 and there's a lift pump in the tank.
Yep.
So lift pump in the tank, that's not enough for 850 horsepower.
No, I'm sure someone set more of a record, but 700 is about where I got to on one of those.
So Fleece has this dual in tank. People always ask us whenever we talk about air dog or fast, they think we hate Fleece. We don't hate Fleece. So they have this dual intake pump. In fact, I have one on my tow truck.
Yep,
works great. It's quiet. The downside I would say to that is I just have factory filtration. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I would be considering some sort of aftermarket filter, especially if you have nice expensive injectors in there. Something that similar to like what a fast or an air dog gives you, you know, some extra filtration there.
Yeah, on Ruby, just because of the issues I've had, I have the Air Dog, which is great filtration. And after the Air Dog, I run that through a 2-micron cat filter. So, and everything I can because my injectors are expensive. I definitely don't want them failing. And so
yeah,
I have had them fail.
Yeah, we had LG in the tank. We were fighting that issue. And so we actually put a fuel cooler on there for a while, trying to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Well, the fuel cooler went away, but that cat filter stayed.
That's right.
But long story short, there's a couple options, but you have to upgrade the lift pump. And then the CP3, we know around that 600 horsepower mark, the factory CP3 cannot maintain rail pressure.
Yep. And so you could do a 10 mil. I think 10 mils are generally like rated to about 850. So it depends on your setup. Like same thing we're talking about with a VP versus a 12 valve. If you have a really airy setup, lots and lots of air, you can make a 10 mil CP3 make 850, no problem. If you are more limited in your air, you're going to need a little bit more fuel to push it over the edge. You might go to a 12 mil at that point. I would say 5 years ago, I would have recommended against a 12 mil just because, you know, streetability, whatever, of a 12 mil, they aren't what they are today. Now, honestly, 12 mils are proven to be pretty reliable. I mean, if you had trying to build a 500,000 mile engine that you're doing hot shotting with, or 300,000, whatever it is, and you just want it to last for that long, a 10 mils, I mean, it's just like a bigger cam.
Would you do a 10 mil, or would you do dual CP3s for a hot shot guy? Because you have that OEM serviceability with duals, but you have a one-off kit with belts and controllers and stuff. What do you think
I believe
for reliability?
That's hard because 10 mil, if one failed, the problem is it's not like if a pump fails, there's a really good chance it's sending something. It's either a huge fuel leak, which means you still need to replace the pump, or it puts a bunch of metal in your injectors, which case you have twice as much chance of one failing. So I feel like, in my opinion, I would rather have either a 10 mil or a 12 mil than a set of dual pumps if it was purely for reliability. You don't have as much work on the belt, because now your belt is not, when you're towing, you're running your fan all the time. Well, now you're running a CP3 as well. You're just stressing the belt out more. You're more likely to wear out your idlers and stuff.
You have twice as many places to leak. If your belt
fails, how are you going to replace it? It's no longer a stock belt. You can get it at any auto parts warehouse.
Most belts are actually, dual CP3 belts are 7.3 belts.
Oh,
so they 7.3s do have
as long as the 7.3s live on.
All right, there you go.
So that was the 7.3's gift to the common rail world, was their serpentine belt. They're like, you're welcome.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, there you go. Factory replacement. Let's go.
But yeah,
I want to start calling you guys 7 tree lovers.
Yep,
you tree loving hippies.
Whatever, Carmen.
Nice. But yeah, I would probably do still a 10 or 12, because I mean, you get rid of just all the crap that could go wrong. I mean, the brackets, like some brackets crack, and you just like the odd things when you add more systems to your truck.
Lines crack.
Yeah. When you add more systems, more things, there are more things to fail. So simply from that perspective, I would keep it a single. If you're trying to go,
so you would more recommend a dual kit if you basically just need the fuel. If you're making big horsepower, or you need more than one CP3, that's when you're looking at dual special timing case with more.
If you're on a budget, a dual pump setup will hold 1,000, no problem. It's cheaper than a 10 mil, and so if you're just on a budget trying to make 1,000 horse, a dual CP3 setup is better. And your pump goes out or has an issue, you buy another stock pump and you keep going. But so the dual CP3s do have a place, but for like, if you're just worried about reliability on a hot shotting grid, which is kind of what you're focused on, a single CP3 could definitely be better for that.
Okay, so we covered lift pump, we covered the CP3, covered the injectors, exhaust. We didn't even talk about any of them, but a lot of people put exhaust.
Yeah,
on
if
stuff
you're air intake and exhaust, everybody's gonna have that. It's like, it feels like it's like, okay. Yep. I mean, we just
you don't need 5-inch.
Air horn's good. Nope.
You don't need a 5-inch. You need 4-inch.
Yeah,
4-inch is fine.
Yeah, I'm running a 4-inch exhaust. I guess I have a 5-inch on Ruby, but it's 4-inch for like 4 or 5 feet.
Mm-hmm. Which we've never done a power difference between 4 and 5, so I am curious, but I don't think it's a huge amount. No, I guess I did do a 4 and 5 on mine, and it was definitely less than 50 horse at 1,100. So,
factory transmission coolers working fine for you. So
yeah, I don't have any auxiliary coolers on that. It's been great.
Intercooler depends on your year. If you're gonna
one thing we didn't talk about, and you're gonna need to adjust on anything compounds, is you're probably gonna be replacing your intercooler at some point in time. I mean, if you're gonna run a lot of boost, at this pressure level,
if you plan on making more than 60 pounds, I think that's kind of where I put the line.
Yeah.
If you're less than 60, like you have a 500 horsepower 12 valve or a 800 horsepower common rail, you can probably do it with less than 60. But if you plan on making more than 60, stock intercoolers are not that reliable, especially if you got 06, 07. I think those are the ones with the plastic.
05 had the plastic intakes.
05s had the plastic intakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just get rid of that.
Get rid of that. You can either go to an aluminum intake one, which is that the 06, 07 then. I don't remember. Half third gens have aluminum and half of them have a plastic intakes. I don't know the
I thought the plastic was just 05, but I could be confusing a Power Stroke model that had a plastic too, but I think it was the 05. I'm sure people in the comments will let us know if I'm right or wrong. Usually you win these battles, so you're probably right, but I'm just going to stand on my high horse and say 05 common rails had plastic intakes.
I don't think it had a plastic intake. I've replaced it now, but I don't believe I ever remember seeing plastic on my 06.
Mm-hmm. I don't say too much, but I'm pretty sure it's I think it's the 03, 05s then. Oh. Could be wrong. But anyway.
But intercoolers are in your future, most likely.
Yep.
And they should be, because you're making enough power. It's like, it will make a difference, especially like we're talking about the VP stuff. Like, yeah, that's another big thing. You need airflow. Make sure you're not killing yourself with a stock intercooler. You can make power with an intercooler if you have fuel to push the turbos hard, sure. Mm-hmm. But it is one thing you should be thinking about as well.
Yeah. And then also if you're doing compounds and you're trying to tow, or, I mean, if you're trying to race, it's still applicable, but if you're trying to tow, so now you're making like 40 pounds, whatever, it's sustained in a towing, situation, intercooler boots.
Yes.
Blowing boot sucks, and putting good boots on there is a good
one
idea.
thing we didn't talk about at all that applies to all of them. When you're at the 850 horsepower level, you got to realize you have more than 2x or 3x to the factory power level to the tires, so to speak. At 3x the power level, you need to be more cognizant of exhaust gas temperature, trans temperature, things like that. You need gauges in there. One, to check on the health of the engine, and two, just so you can see if something starts going downhill, like you start losing a bunch of boost, there's a good chance you have a boost leak, a torn boot, and it's nice to catch that early.
And I say it all the time, like I let my line pressure gauge. If I have a reason, like why is this gear? I'm like, I should be making 150 PSI in this tune right now. Why I'm at 130? Why is I have a clogged filter? Why is my filter clogged? Is this something I can save with a simple service? Or do I have something going wrong with the transmission? I mean, I just feel like you say, data can prevent bigger bills. Or if you just keep on driving, all of a sudden now I've just got a whole entire trans. I got to, So I think you're right on. Like you do need to watch what you're doing. Let me say before, the guy behind the wheel is the thing that's going to break your truck. I mean, 850 horsepower, nothing here. None of these trucks are designed for this power level. I mean, you're 2Xing semi trucks at this point. And you have more torque than a semi truck at this point. I mean, it's crazy to say you go get your average semi truck is how much torque is my freaking truck makes right there. Now I can't do it for as long, but I am making that force in that engine.
But right along the lines of that, like I was like, do you need traction bars? If you drive carefully, you don't. But if you're an idiot that's letting it wheel hop every time you get on the power, you're gonna break the rear U joint because it's gonna wrap that drive shaft up weird.
Yep.
And so at that power level, you have enough power level that you can't just be dumb, but at the same time, you can be very, very reliable at 850 horsepower on any of these platforms and have a ton of fun, a ton of reliability. And I mean, you basically have a factory sports car eating machine that's four-wheel drive, so you always have traction when you want it.
I've got a tune in my tow truck. It's my two-wheel drive roll-on tune. Like I'd said, I want to be able to get in third gear, lock up, and floor it, and not just rip the tires to shreds. I'm guessing, I haven't dynoed it, I'm guessing that's 850, 900 horsepower. It's ridiculously fast. But the way we've built this truck with all the air mods, we've talked about all the head flow, I have the cam, all that good stuff. And I got some freaking awesome turbos. I mean, I got the 98 millimeter on this thing. But that power level, I can pretty much flat foot it, and EGTs are not a concern. It's wild to me how fast it can be, and it doesn't get hot. It's like, you can make a lot of power with these if you build them right. And that thing just pulls forever with these turbos. It does not fall off at 4,000. I mean, it's crazy. So 850 horsepower. I mean, you've been in it. It's a lot of fun. This is not a slouch. This is something, this power level, you can seriously hurt yourself. If you have a wet road and you're done with your lockup switch, a full manual valve body would be very fun, but there's enough power here. You can really get yourself in trouble. So I wouldn't say like hand the keys to your son, off the bat.
But it's an attainable goal. You could say hardworking American, if you scrimp and save,
you can get there.
It's achievable. It's not a $100,000 race truck build at that point. It's something you can do one piece at a time. And it is arguably any of your buddies that comes, oh, I got this new Hellcat. It's so fast. You're like, really?
Let's go.
Really? And so it's fun to have something that you can tow, haul the couch, take out the trash, whatever. And and it's just a ton of fun.
Yeah. 850 horsepower is 500 horsepower is a lot of fun. 850 horsepower is another level. It's a whole nother level, like burnouts, rolling burnouts. I mean, there's so much more you can do. And yeah, that's, to me, 850 is like where it really starts getting fun. I mean, 500 is a great running truck and I enjoy them, but 850 is like, okay, this truck's now getting fun.
Yeah. You're kicking the tires pretty much, not like whenever you want, but very easily.
Yeah. Drift truck. Let's go.
It's a fun power level to be at. And like the 1,000 horsepower level, obviously it's more power and theoretically it's more fun. Your fun to time under the hood
goes up
way better with 850.
Yeah, the ratio is really good there. It is. There's a lot of time on the head of Ruby for sure. And because you do fourth gear locked up launches from neutral.
Someone's got to find out if it works.
You can do it. What the? I got an idea.
I think that. So I don't know if I want to go too far into it. Long story short, 30 seconds or less. I tried revving my truck up and pulling the shifter from neutral to overdrive locked. In about 850 tunes. So that's how I'm gonna tie it in.
850 horsepower tune.
Yep, approximately. And it did not take it. And I think it was just too many clutch packs trying to grab at once. I think each clutch pack individually could have taken it, but the fact that they were trying to do it all at the same time, the line pressure dipped, and I could just feel like it was starting to do it, and then overdrive or something kicked in, and it just snuffed. I didn't snuff it; it just let it slip because it just dipped the line pressure so hard. And that's partially because it's a street valve body, so we're not conserving a lot of fluid on the shifts. So it is what it is. But it takes third gear, no problem. Don't recommend it.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, well, I mean, that's going to kind of handle this stuff. Our time's about out. But honestly, guys, 850 horsepower, very fun truck. And it's a good step. If you haven't been there, don't jump to 1500. Enjoy your time. Go to 800, learn it, go there, because 1500 horsepower is, again, a whole other level of danger and stuff. And it is, but 850 is a fun truck. Burnouts are easy. Rolling burnouts are easy. It's so much fun.
It is.
So
it's a blast.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have comments or ideas for future episodes, we love to hear them. As always, please like and subscribe and share and comment, because we need your help to help this thing grow. And we'll see you next time on the Power Driven Podcast.